So here we go. Did Samir win the dice roll? Because I'm wondering,
Yeah,
I think
did.
Iliane's deck maybe is set up to go second. It's very possible, because the Magical Musketeers kind of lean into going second with the extremely powerful Link 1 that requires your opponent to have monsters in play already, or spells and traps on the field. And for each of those, you can either special summon a couple of monsters, or add a couple of spells and traps to your hand. So maybe you don't mind going second at all. Maybe you even choose to go second, but we don't know for sure. But we do know for sure that Samir likes to go first with his Sprite deck.
Yep, been a while, but the deck still has a lot of tools, and as you can see here, great opening with the starter plus the blue.
Yeah, you can trust Samir to keep us up to date with all of the latest Sprite technology. How many different ways can you make the Toad?
Yeah, and as you mentioned on the other side, obviously it will be an interesting one. We did see the Inkabui play the Magical Muskets, so that deck is definitely there. But oh, an Ash Blossom, interesting, not on the starter, but on the blue.
Yeah, that is interesting. I guess it's quite difficult to know where to interrupt Sprite, because they're all kind of much the same. Like if you negate the starter, they might get to a blue anyway, or if they negate, if you negate the gigantic, you kind of have to negate the blue, because then otherwise your opponent might search a red, and then the red will negate your Ash.
At
so
the
maybe
same
that
time,
was the plan.
The thing is, if the starter gets you the blue, you're gonna Ash it. So
just
I
negate
think
it.
might as well just Ash the starter maybe. But I mean, this is the old combo that we saw from Samir even in London. Just not using anything too new. But here is a new card that he didn't, I mean not new, but like a card that he wasn't playing back in the day, which is the one copy of the Sunfish. So I'm gonna bring it up for you guys on screen. Just an additional, I guess, nimble target.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it doesn't actually, I don't think you could use its effect, right? Because he's only running the one nimble Sunfish in his deck. So I think he's literally just running it to have 4 nimble monsters to summon off the Angler. So maybe he has a plan to resolve that Angler twice in a turn.
And now we're gonna see whether he's gonna access another part of his deck, but no, it is gonna be the Swap Frog. So we know where that is leading. So,
but if you think about it, if he would have Ashed the starter, we would not be witnessing this, right?
Yeah, I mean, Samir would have had to have a different card in his hand, right, to get going.
Yeah. And this is, though, a new part of the deck. So the Ice Barriers are played in a just 1-on-1 in the deck. And this is because you can send the monster through Swap Frog. And then when that card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add the spell, which is played also as a one-off. And that allows you to special summon back the Ice Barrier, giving you easy access to Totally Awesome. So a nice little addition into the deck. And this is exactly what we're going to see from Samir.
That's very cool. I thought you had to summon the Ice Barrier monster, but no, you can just send it straight with Swap Frog. The Swap Frog now is just a 1-card Toad.
And there it is. So,
yeah, very cool. Yeah, I like this.
As you mentioned, keeping us updated with the new tech for the Sprite deck. And now we get to see the Silhouette Rabbit. So, interesting start. I think this is definitely quite powerful.
Yeah, Silhouette Rabbit, it's kind of one of those generic tools almost now. Any deck can use it to add a little extra push if you've got a couple of monsters lying around. I mean, it's almost like, I feel like now we've seen Appaloosa be forbidden. It's like maybe we're going to see an uptick for the Silhouette Rabbit. It's just something you can do with a couple of monsters to give your board a little extra oomph right at the end there, give you a way to destroy a spell or trap or negate a summon.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big downside is having to run an extra trap card in your deck.
What is this? Okay.
What?
This is the new Sprite. You also play some Labyrinth cards afterwards.
Exactly, imagine. And now in the standby phase, we can actually summon another Swap Frog from the deck. The only downside, obviously, is the Trust if your opponent is playing it, but I guess it will be an interesting one because, as you mentioned, his opponent can actually grind really well going second with the Magical Musket card. So,
yeah, that Musketeer Max, if you can get it to resolve, Samir's got 5 spells and traps. So if you resolved it, you would summon 5 monsters. But resolving it is easier said than done. Especially when that Toad is in play. So one of the sneaky tricks to resolve it is to have something like droplets in your hand. If your opponent tries to negate it, you can chain the droplets, get it off the field and make it hard.
Okay.
But with that
Yeah.
Toad, you can just straight up negate it and the droplets won't have anything to say about that.
The Tractus is not really an indicator of what deck he's playing. So for now, Samir is not going to be surprised yet. This could very well be just a Yubel deck, especially because we have seen players actually playing more than one copy of Tractus. Now that they have to obviously rely on something different than the Beatrice, and it makes a lot of sense in the combos. But this is not Yubel, I can tell you that much.
You never know, there might be a sneaky U-Bell card in there somewhere.
You never know. And yeah, now we are going to activate Lurie. Okay, and this prompts Samir to actually go and activate his first potentially interruption with the angel statue.
Quite nice this, because it will get the Requiem off the field. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter that the Requiem wasn't summoned properly, because it will still be in the graveyard and it can still equip itself to a Light Fiend if needs be. What has Iliane got left up his sleeve? Yeah, like I don't think it being summoned properly actually matters, because you never summon it out of the grave, you just put it straight back into the extra deck.
Okay, the Bestial is decent, obviously the force out a negation, but we know the double cross is face down from Samir, and that is huge, especially when having the versatility of both the Link and the XYZ. You can use both, you know, different effects of the trap card. But it's gonna resolve. And I mean, this still smells like Yubel if you are Samir. Yeah.
Oh.
I think
so
just double cross.
Just get out the double cross. Yeah.
Double cross is used. So for now, still keeping some information with those two face downs, which are what we didn't know. I'm expecting maybe a starter.
Oh, that's he's got a good pile of cards left, actually. He has a Prosperity, an Adir 7, and a Magical Musketeer.
Okay.
Is that an Adir 7? Am I right? Or is that a different card?
No.
Or is that the Fiendsmith?
Isn't it the Magical Musket?
You don't need a Magical Musket to use, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't quite tell what it is. Definitely not an Adir Servant, I can tell you that much.
It's the Sanct. That's not so useful, actually, the Sanct, once you've already lost your Requiem, assuming there's only one copy of Requiem.
Yeah, you basically summon a token on the field, and...
But funnily enough, you can equip the token with the Requiem, and then link it up, or sort of level it up into a Princess, right?
So this is still not obvious as to what deck your opponent is playing, and now, as you can see, they are just trying to debate whether you can use the effect in the graveyard. Ooh, but we're playing two copies.
Wow, okay.
You can see Samir actually being like, oh, okay.
That's got to be a little confusing, yeah. I think probably they were checking, because Requiem can only be special summoned once per turn. So maybe that's what they needed to double check, because the summon was negated.
Yeah.
As to whether you can then go ahead and try and summon it again. When you say it can only be special summoned once per turn, it does make you wonder what two copies are doing in his deck, but if for exactly this situation, I guess is very helpful.
Yep.
And having all of those extra Light Fiends, like we mentioned in the Magical Musketeers, might mean that you need to have more copies of the Fiendsmiths in your extra deck to make sure that there's always some available to turn your Magical Musketeers into.
Yeah, the good news is the battle phase is not anymore there, so Samir is not entirely forced to use Totally Awesome at the effect now, and he's playing it as a little slower.
Well, he has to use it at some point, right? Because otherwise the Fiendsmith Engraver effect will try and destroy it. But
okay, but we do have an impermanence. Let's keep in mind the column, but I mean, for now.
You always got to keep in mind the column. I mean, it's doing a great job here. There's been a lot of interruptions. There's been the double cross, the imperm. There's still the Toad to look forward to. But
and now he's
got through a few.
Yeah, send back the copy that was negated. And yeah, no Beatrice, of course, but we can still go and make the sequence. Thinking we could have a starter, but maybe he would have used
It's
it.
going to allow the sequence. It feels like the sort of thing you ought to negate, because it gets quite a lot of value if you negate and destroy the sequence.
Maybe he has another impermanence.
The only problem, I guess, with this is, again, looking back at the Requiem. Like, you could have just prevented all of this by negating that, but I guess played it a little slower, and now he's out of interruptions outside of this mysterious face down.
Oh, he's really holding on to his normal summon, Iliane, here. Yeah, maybe he wants something to deal with the face down.
I mean, this makes a lot of sense, because if you now go for a musket, they could be out of interruptions, and then you can use the Link 1 to just get a little bit of an advantage. I'm going to shuffle the deck.
But Samir's run out of cards, so the Link 1 is more powerful the more cards your opponent has. I mean, he's going to have at least 2 monsters on the field, right? So
no way. Okay, now finally the deck is revealed. I was about to say no cards, but like there is a musket in there.
That is the
trap card, yeah.
Yeah, that trap card can negate your opponent's spell trap, but I can't remember the name of it.
I think this. No, maybe the
last stand,
last stand, right?
And it's a counter trap, so it's very difficult to interact with for Samir, unless he has a counter trap of his own. What's he having a look at?
But not the ideal, honestly.
No,
I mean, it was honestly looking.
Does he not have? Does he
else?
not have his own? I thought he had a musketeer in his hand, but maybe I was mistaken.
Yeah, it looked like he had a monster as the last card in hand. He hasn't used the engraver effect from hand, so he could still search.
But he's used both both Veensmith spells already. If it was a musketeer, then surely
I think he passed.
Did he pass?
Maybe,
wow.
maybe we were wrong.
Wow.
Complete miss on the musket from the Prosperity. Kind of unfortunate. And this gives Samir one hell of a turn where he can easily probably try and push for game. First of all, he's going to get the third Swap Frog.
All the Swap Frogs.
And yeah, this is actually so strong. I mean, with the gigantic, you can pretty much easily close this one out.
Yeah, that Silhouette Rabbit's going to put in so much work. It's still there as a rank 2.
And this is already 54, so once you special summon a blue, this could just be it. So
Is that not a musketeer in his hand?
Is it?
It looks like it.
he's considering using it, so that would make...
Maybe I'm just... maybe with my
No,
eyes
no, it's a dogmatic. Okay, makes sense.
That's the Fleur de Lis.
The Fleur, right?
Yeah.
The problem is it doesn't do anything, because like
No, it's just
you need like yeah.
It's a mean way to talk about a card.
I know. I know. No, it would have been really good with another Dogmatica, but like on his own, it's pretty much a worse Phantasme, I would say. So
It might protect his life points, but
I don't think this is gonna change much, to be fair, because now he can go Jet Red or Blue, whatever. I mean, I think he can easily seal this one.
there is another trap card, so he might just have open double impermanence, Samir. So
yeah, maybe all of our like pontificating about whether he was going to get to resolve his musket was not important if there was just an impermanence face down the whole time.
I think, because like this is 54, 26. Yeah, you can just... I'm not sure if he plays like which sprite spells he plays, I guess. Like
Yeah, he plays as Smasher.
yeah. Does he play
Has he got
Gamma
another
as well?
spring?
The Gamma Burst?
In the side deck.
And yeah, here you see the reason why he's playing 4 copies of the Nimbles.
I guess it makes sense to have like an extra push, because I think some of the complaints people have about the sprite deck nowadays, since the alpha's been forbidden, is that you don't have too much to do on your second turn after you make your big impressive field on turn 1, but having those extra Nimbles will make a difference.
We are hearing some sounds. Can confirm that indeed I was welcomed in Lille by a few mosquitoes, and now we can see it in action on the table as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there it is. Game 1 goes to Samir indeed. His opponent tried his best to fight back, but it seemed like the opening was too strong. The only point of consideration, as mentioned, was the Ash Blossom, whether he would have used it on the starter. I'm not sure that Samir actually had another level 2 monster. It might not, because he had double impermanence, most likely, and I'm not sure. So that I guess is something we should consider, but outside of that, really well maneuvered. He showed us what a single swap frog can do when you summon it now with the Ice Barrier package. Yeah, I'm liking what I saw. So now that we move to the side deck, Bo, I think for both duelists, it will be a matter of, you know, just improvising, because they probably were not expecting this matchup. But
yeah, I mean, Iliane's deck, I'm a little confused, like, what the Dogmatica cards are doing, and hopefully we'll get to see a bit more of that. Because we saw that kind of, it just kind of sat in his hand, and we were, like, wondering, what is this last card? Is it going to come through? And at the end, it just didn't really provide what was needed. So I'd really like to see how it can work in the second game.
Yeah, no, especially because, like, what I was thinking is, do you think Samir understood what his opponent is playing? Because, you know, he just saw some Fizzmith's card and a Dogmatica monster, right? So
yeah, he saw
that Musketeer card, I think, is like, you know, a mix of, you know, like Musketeers plus Fizzmith plus, you know, Dogmatica maybe. So it's, you know.
Yeah, it's also sneaky because, like, the only Musket card was revealed off a pop, but it wasn't even a monster. So maybe Samir might have not even noticed that. But yeah, when it comes to Iliane, he's gonna go first, and the deck looks quite different going first, and that's why you can see he's siding mostly cards for going second. So it wouldn't even surprise me if after siding, sometimes he just let his opponent go first and just try and hit them with all of these evenly Lightning Storms, and I can see that working out against Samir. But on the other hand, I think Samir is expecting to go second, and what do you guys think he might bring in?
He's got one of everything in the classic Samir style.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, you know. He's got that. I'm not sure what the Herald of Pure Light is for. It's definitely a fun card, but maybe there's got to be some specific purpose, because it's quite a big investment to return a card from your hand to the deck. He's got 3 copies of Dimensional Shifter, which I don't know how much it does against this deck. It's hard to say.
I mean, you saw Finsmith, so maybe you think it's going to be okay-ish. He also has the one Phantasma, just the single copy to draw, and yeah, that might work out for him. And you can see him debating about the shifters right here, right now, with his deck in his hand. He's also debating about Bestials, apparently, and I think the verdict is always interesting for me. I think siding is such a big component that is sometimes, you know, underestimated, but I think you play most of your games after siding, so yeah, you can see him improvise. He's really debating about these shifters.
Yeah, I mean, it's like much harder to decide when you have like no idea whether your opponent even wants to go first or second. And I mean, the shifter, I guess you can use going first or second, so maybe it's not, you know, you kind of probably just put it in regardless. But yeah, this is a tricky one.
But I also think I agree with you. Like, looking at Iliane's side deck, like, I think I'll go second, honestly.
I mean, why not? Yeah, I mean, totally scary, obviously, but like, you have so many good cards for going second that I think your deck is like infinitely better going second than going first.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, it's a risk, of course, like, I get it, because like, you're playing against Pry. I mean, totally awesome is scary, but like, in general, I think if that was the idea, I will stick to it. And I mean, yeah, I think the pressure is on him, especially because, like, I think, you know, Samir showed us how he can play the deck, he masters the deck. And maybe we would have seen a different game if that Ash Blossom would have been activated on the start. Yeah. I mean, like,
we'll see.
Yeah, I think we'll soon find out. Yeah,
absolutely. But our players are almost done with their side decks, so let's find out who will be the winner of Game 2.
Amazingly, Samir has a Phantasme, only one in his side deck, because there are 2 in his main deck.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I think so.
The Phantasme is a card I always kind of want to play, but then you just like never have enough space somehow.
Yeah, I feel that. But Let's find out whether he's actually gonna go first in this duel.
There's a lightning
I
storm.
would be surprised because he has Layer and Storm, so I mean...
Samir is going first, huh?
Yeah, makes sense. We saw through the side X. Makes a lot of sense to me. Good decision, and he's rewarded. He has the Ash Blossom. Again, the same decision as last time. But this time he lets it go through.
Samir's got to make a decision, though, with this. I think he has a Shifter in his hand, but if you activate Shifter, you turn off your own copies of Nimble Angler. So is it worth it?
And yeah, now the Ash is gone. Because like this red is there. Obviously can still be used.
I mean, it's still a little annoying, right? If you Ash now, you have to tribute the Sprint, but...
Yeah, I guess.
It's kind of like one monster no matter where you throw it, right? Because if it negates... Yeah. If it negates the blue, then you don't get a red, but then you'll probably get to the red later somehow, so...
But no, he decides to keep it in his hand, and as you can see, Samir is still able to completely continue. This is where you would probably go and search for the Swap Frog, and this Ash does absolutely nothing, so I don't know if we are gonna use it. So
Here it depends if he wants to go for the Swap Frog. Oh, what?
I think he actually has 2 copies of it, so...
Maybe it's an Ash Chain Nib situation. What do you reckon?
I don't actually think so. But yeah, let's see. Obviously, you're gonna try and make your opponent think, but yeah, that's not the case. And now Nibiru is off the question. And did we keep those Swap Frogs with it? Looking good.
But did he keep the Ice Barrier cards to go with the Swap Frogs?
Of course
he did.
Of course.
With the Shifters.
No, but it makes sense, Tom. This was, I think, the same thing that you usually do, because like if you start things off with the Shifter, you can then end up with the Gigantic plus Red or either Jet and the Double Cross, if that's the case. If you don't see Shifter, you just go for this, and I think that's what Samir said. I think it's this lineup is even better. Yeah, I mean it makes. I mean, look at this. Yeah, he also had the starter, so.
What happened to the continuous?
I think yeah, he mixed it up with the. With the starter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. I mean, he does have a lot of really strong cards for going second. That is Iliane, because obviously both Lightning Storm and especially Ultimate Slayer, I think, can be really strong against Samir. But I don't see a lot of engine.
Yeah. I mean, that Ash we were talking about might not have been super relevant, but on the other hand, it's going to stop Samir having an extra body on the field, which would probably be turned into a Silhouette Rabbit. So I guess this can just be turned straight into a Silhouette Rabbit now. So
I like this.
Maybe not so helpful.
It could be that he sided out the double cross for imagining going second, and he kept you know, his Smashers instead, which is what we is going to set. This is a very strong opening from Samir. So, let's take a look.
He's making you crane your neck for it, Iliane. You got to wait and see, Macho. Here we go.
Are we going to get a magical musket this time around?
Oh,
doesn't seem like it. Yeah.
See a Droplet, a Veiler.
I think it's just a Slayer and then...
A Droplet, Veiler, Ash, Ultimate Slayer, and last card we can't tell. So it's...
Wasn't it the Lightning Storm? Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This end is actually... like, doesn't do anything outside of clearing your opponent cards. Like, it's tough to play your own game, I guess.
But if you can clear all of the monsters on the Sprite field, like, what does Sprite do?
Or can you? That's the problem.
That's a good question. Between
like
the Storm and the Slayer?
How do you get rid of... Yeah. And as you can see here, Samir is actually going to tribute totally, preventing the Droplet from possibly negating it. And I guess he's considering chaining Droplet just to prevent the Storm from being stolen, but I mean...
Or maybe just to... I mean, it doesn't resolve the Storm.
No, it doesn't, but like, you can negate the red, but the problem is how do you play? Like... I guess, is he going Typhon? Because that's the only card maybe he can access with like a normal summon of a Veiler.
Yeah, I think that's the only line.
Maybe if he is using it.
No, he's not even playing it.
Okay, perfect. Great news for him.
So he's going to negate the red.
Yeah,
And then what?
I guess we can fish for a draw with the Slayer sending like the Garura if he's playing the engine.
I'm not seeing
No.
a Garura, so...
Okay. Plan C. We come. Yeah, I mean, you gotta go for this.
You got to try something. There's nothing that gets you to your engine with Ultimate Slayer, is there? There's no...
Because usually if you play like Winch Beast, you can send like Tri-Brigade cards. And this is...
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, what
you just basically draw a card and put one back, right?
Yeah.
does it
Which-
not search? Oh, so
No,
you
no,
play
no.
this over Garura.
Yeah, which is strictly worse. But
Well,
I
it
guess
has
it
more
saves you an
attack.
extra deck
Oh,
space.
it drew evenly.
No, because what you can do is you play the Tri-Brigade Link and then that sends you the Garura, usually.
Oh, I see, okay.
So, but the problem is it's 2 extra deck spaces instead of 1, I guess. But obviously like a +1 compared to this, which just shuffles you back. What was the card? Evenly? Okay, interesting.
I mean, it's going to do some work here, isn't it?
Yeah, but then we go into top deck mode with an Ash Blossom, which is fair, but like Samir has 3 cards in his hand.
One is Shifter, one is Swap Frog.
Yeah, and here is everything.
Oh, and he's keeping the Azaroon.
Okay.
So maybe not so much for Samir to do on his next turn.
And yeah, pass, and now Samir has so many good draws, gonna allow his opponent to cut his deck as he shuffle for the totally awesome. And now let's take a look at this top deck from Samir. This could be it.
Yeah, but he already has
I
the
think it
Nimble
was a jet,
beer. Yeah, but he has the Nimble plus the blue
Yeah.
in hand, so it's I think it's already enough.
Yeah, this is going to be so good. Even if this gets Ash Blossom, this might be a quick one for Samir. And you can see Iliane really debating this time around with this failure. And no, allows it. And yeah, it is a jet and it is a blue. Yeah, that is amazing stuff from Samir.
Yeah, there's not so much you can do with a single Veiler. Like, you can hold it and hope that hitting the Gigantic is going to get you there, but
And I mean,
still the Azaroon to deal with
the
any
worst.
of your potential top decks.
Yeah, the worst part of this is Samir now exactly knows what's in there. Like, if he had a doubt before between like an Ash Blossom, now he knows that, yeah, it's that kind of card. But yeah, this jet is just devastating. And I'm pretty sure you can find a way to just deal enough. And this is what he's thinking about. It's also possible that since he thought he was going second, he brought in the Gamma Burst from the side deck. So yeah.
No, it makes. I mean, I would be surprised if he didn't side it in with the idea of going
Yeah,
second.
especially with the shifters, like
Yeah.
it makes so much sense
Yeah.
that that would be the gameplay. So let's see if that is the case. Oh no, it wasn't a jet, it was actually the carrot. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Great card, I love that card. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just allows you to play so many interesting cards in the side deck.
Complete rank 2 toolbox on display from Samir.
And yeah, as always, great execution from Samir. Now being able to access once again his deck. And almost set up a checkmate.
Yeah, between the red, the Azaroon, it's hard to imagine what Iliane could top deck.
Yeah, you can see him counting down the life to figure out whether he has enough. I mean, if he has the Gamma Burst, this is surely enough with another Gigantic maybe. But
You can just summon a Sprint from your grave.
yeah, and with Gigantic into Jet into Gamma Burst, this is easily game.
Yeah.
You probably don't even need that, but
Yeah, because the Gigantic is
Let's see.
3,200.
Jack coming down. Are we adding it? No, we are not. We probably, as mentioned, yeah, we don't need it. This is plenty of damage for Samir, and what a way to fight back in this game. You can see him just counting the life points, and there it is. Samir wins 2-0 and advances with a 2-0 record in this event. What a match, and what a showcase from Sprite once again from Samir.
Yeah, I mean, I've really got to feel sorry for his opponent there, because
Yeah.
I was excited to see some Magical Musketeer action, and no Magical Musketeers in his first 2 games, even with the Pot of Prosperity, seeing another 6 cards. So, I mean, really unfortunate there, but that unfortunately is the game sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, you can build your deck as consistently as possible, but sometimes you just won't draw those starting pieces.
No, I mean, this game 2 was completely different from game 1, right? I mean, he had a plan, we can say. I mean, going second, you side the evenly matched and some other stuff in, but at the end of the day, I think if you don't really see them at the beginning, like the Effect Veiler being drawn as a 6th card, which doesn't really help you out. You draw 2 Ash Blossom, which, you know, with Samir's hand, special summon in the red in the very first turn is like, what can you even do?
The unfortunate part, though, as we mentioned, is the lack of the engine, because I really like the fact that he let Samir start. It made a lot of sense with just the cards that he sided and the way he built his deck. But I mean, what can you do? As you mentioned, even through a Prosperity in game 1, but in game 2, he never saw a Musketeer monster, and that in the end is what costed him the match. On the other side, though, Samir obviously showcased us what his deck is about. It looks pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy. I really like the addition of the 1/1 of the Ice Barriers, which, as we saw, easily turns what was the previous combo into a better, I guess, usage for the Swap Frog, which is more efficient than having to go for the Bujin link. Yeah, I like what I saw. Obviously, we gotta see how it lines up against heavy hitters like Hubel, and I do see the shifters though in the side deck. So obviously, a deck that can play those is always scary to face.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, every time we see another rank 2 monster, it seems like Samir is on it. He will find the best technology. He will get an extra way to summon the Toad. He will get the Illusion Rabbit. You know, just make that board slightly more intimidating step by step. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see it. Like, I thought that was really cool.
No, but I also like the way he's still playing Sprite with the idea of like almost 2 years ago, basically, like playing the shifter, which was something that we were mentioning in game 2, right? Which,
yeah.
I mean, if you see the shifter, then you go with the Gigantic, and then eventually for the Gamma Burst, if you really feel like. Was not the case because he had a hole in this game 2, but I like to play both the Swap Frog and the shifter because you have 2 options. If you see the shifter, you can go for it, or if you don't see it, you can just go for the Toad line, I guess.
But I think similarly to what we mentioned in round 1, I think this choice makes sense for him because we are in a peculiar format. It's right after a new list, and people are still adapting. You play a deck you're comfortable with, and I think Sprite is a deck that hardly ever bricks, and so you can play against a field where you don't necessarily play, especially in day 1, against a lot of the same U-Build decks or like Snake Eye, and I think it's a deck that hardly fails you against those. And then obviously once you're in the top cut, at least you're very familiar with your deck and what you do, and that sometimes gets you the lack in power, of maybe that gap in just power level as compared to the card. So I think Samir has great chances, and he has the obviously home turf advantage, so he's used to playing here. And yeah, we're gonna wish him and his opponent best of luck. Just as a reminder again, guys, we are gonna be playing 8 rounds of Swiss today, so there are 6 more remaining, and then tomorrow we are gonna go through the last 3 before the cut to top 32. So essentially what you need to make it to the top cut is at least a record of 9 wins and 2 losses, and then it's not even a guarantee that you will make it. So like winning as many as possible today is crucial so that your tiebreakers are a little bit higher, and yeah, that is not easy. So
yeah, I mean, a top 32 is a little bit smaller than what we've been seeing in previous YCSs, so it's going to be super, super challenging and very, very difficult to get into that top 32 that all of the players are craving. So yeah, I mean, good luck to everybody playing today, and I'm excited to see who makes it.
Absolutely, only la creme de la creme will make it, and we'll see who those will be tomorrow. But without further ado, we have Samir, the winner of round 2, ready with Ed for their interviews. Keep watching, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you, Marcello. Yes, I am joined by the winner of our round 2 feature match, Samir Bashar, one of the most energetic members of the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Sammy, how are you doing? You good?
Yes, fine.
Excellent. Now, that was your feature match. You're no stranger to this. You've won Euros. You've won the YCS London last year. Do you think you can win this time?
Oh, honestly speaking, it's complicated for the one. I want minimum the top, if I
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll see how it goes. If you get through this, we're going into top 32 at the end of this day, or the end of the Swiss tomorrow, instead of top 64, so should be easy enough to top. You were playing Sprite. You love Sprite. Why do you love Sprite?
because I love the gameplay of Sprite because it's all of the board you create. It's really good for Yu-Gi-Oh game, for go first, go second, and playing versus whole Yu-Gi-Oh deck difference. And it's good for the creation situation. For example, the game 2, create the OTK by Mujinki, Shima, Gigantic, because I love resolve the puzzle of Sprite. It's the reason why I like the Sprite deck.
Now, in this format, we've got Ubel, we have Fiendsmith. What are you worried about going up against? What are you scared of?
I little scary, and I choose this deck because it's really good argument versus whole Fiat-Smith variant deck.
Okay, well, that means you're probably going to be good for the format. Best of luck. I'm going to send you over there to go and join Lille for the play-by-play. Thank you very much, Samir. Always a pleasure to chat to you. Make your way over there, and you guys can do the play-by-play. I like this. I like having Samir here. Take care, mate. He's the most energetic member of the Yu-Gi-Oh community, and is always just a happy chap to have around. So it's always a pleasure to talk to Samir about that, despite our language barrier. I can feel the passion more than anything. And I think here at a YCS, that is what we need more of. So I'm going to throw you guys over to Leo and Sammy, who are going to do a little play-by-play of the Feature 2 match.
Buongiorno and buenos dias also from my side here at the YCS Lille in the analyst corner. And I'm, of course, joined by Samir Bashar. You have heard it by now. And we're going to analyze some clips. And I think we're going right into the first one because I want you, Samir, to explain to the viewers how you win games by using the Mosquito.
Yeah. Yes, for the Mosquito TK.
So can you walk us through the Mosquito OTK, how you're winning with Mosquito, the game? So
Yeah. Yes, I choose Mosquito, yeah, because it's more easy for me. OTK Mosquito by banish on the 8,000 life opponent, yeah.
do you play Onibimaru as well?
Huh?
Do you play Onibimaru as well to remove
No,
cards
I
from the field?
didn't play Onibimaru. It's the reason why it's a little more difficult.
Right.
Me thinking it's more important for consistency, extra deck, break the board or OTK.
Yeah.
Or not the middle. Onibimaru, it's a middle card. You banish the monster or not want to take out if you use Onibimaru in general.
I completely agree. So what Mosquito does is you attack a monster, and then afterwards, when you attack it, your opponent takes damage equal to the amount of attack the monster has. So if your opponent has a 2,500 attack point monster, it's pretty easy to OTK through this. Let's go through the next clip, because game 2, I felt like was a little more difficult when your opponent opened with the Lightning Storm. You immediately had to use your Toad that you didn't use that early in game 1. Did you have a backup plan if your opponent really had some other cards to play with?
For why negate Lightning Storm?
Sure.
Okay. I choose negate Lightning Storm just because on cost of my Toadly, because I didn't respect Call by the Grave this time. Not the game 1, not the same situation of game 1. And it's more easy for the spell trap card. Azurin is much important versus Musketeer because we won't link a 1.
Were you scared when you saw the droplet as well and your opponent?
No, not afraid by a droplet. I'm afraid by every match after. But
All right, fair enough. So, okay, we saw some very interesting technique, how you finished game 2, which was the OTK with the mannequin cat. We can look at the third clip as well. Do you do that a lot with the deck, that you summon back Ash and you go into your graveyard shenanigans?
Yes. Yes, it's the reason why personally why playing Ashima on Mannequin Cat, because create the board OTK situation. It's really difficult for Sprite if you didn't playing Gamma Burst. Me, not want to use Gamma Burst the maximum time, create the game state, not necessarily Gamma Burst.
So do you also play some side deck shenanigans with the mannequin cat? Or you don't want to? Okay, of course, of course.
No problem, no problem.
No, I respect that. All right. Thank you so much, Templar.